Kathy couldn't have waited.
Yeah.
I couldn't know.
She probably is glad she got it over with.
Is she back
Yeah.
in the saddle, feeling better?
Oh, yes. Yep. Just need a little rest.
Was she having chest pain? Is that what triggered?
No, it was just her normal checkup.
Wow. See, normal checkups are.
And the doctor wanted to just do some more, a little bit deeper dive into some of her concerns. And he did and said, well, let's get you in. And hopefully we can just do a stint. But if it's worse, we'll crack the ribs open.
Well, praise God for regular checkups.
Yes.
They are so important. Wow. Okay, is everything running?
Yep.
Okay, it is June 16th at 11:01 a.m. We are at the High Desert Helpers Park building for a special board meeting. The agenda was posted at the post office, on the office bulletin board outside the office door, on the website, and on some Facebook sites. I'm Elaine Clayton, board chair.
Tom Strezak, board secretary.
Melina Raylick, treasurer.
And
Jerry Postman.
Jerry is here today to discuss his contract. Have I hit all the points that we do for the opening?
Jerry is AJT Solutions.
Yes.
So we can talk about, we might go a little bit off the agenda.
Do you have an extra copy of the agenda? Elaine?
Pardon?
Do you have an extra copy of the agenda?
No,
I did not
not
represent-
copies of all.
Okay.
And I failed to do that. We're going to address 6B, discussion and possible action regarding contract with Gerald A. Bustima, AJT Solutions, LLC, to provide district manager services. And Jerry, you know that we've had several contracts, and it got a little confusing as to which contract there's this one, and there was this one. Here, Tom. Mm-hmm. And I apologize for the printing on the one, but it was an Adobe document, and it didn't want to print properly.
So this is the most recent, the 611.
Correct, okay.
So this one's no good?
The yellow, highlighted yellow, is what he wanted to address, a concern he had. Maybe you could share that with them. Was that correct, Jerry?
Yes. Do you want me to go over the most recent, the June?
Correct.
11?
What does that say there,
That's-
Melina, that's highlighted?
So, in addition to the annual contract rate, any funds awarded in an approved grant for grant management or grant oversight related activities as defined in Exhibit A shall be paid directly to the contractor at a rate of $85 per hour by the granting agency or through Black Canyon at no additional cost to Black Canyon. Payment for grant funded services will be billed and dispersed on a schedule authorized in the grant agreement and as approved by blah, 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 us, board, prior to any grant-related payment being issued.
I know there was something about D&O insurance, and I did
Yes.
send a request to our D&O carrier to ask if we could add you.
Okay.
I've not, I heard, I got a response from her this morning, but it wasn't specific as to whether or not we could add you, so I asked the question again.
Okay.
And was that the only one concern that you had?
That was the only thing left after talking with the attorney several million times and him adding about 4 or 5 pages to the contract. Just so you know, I'm under contract where I cannot do business with China. I cannot do business with any entity, company, or country that is against Israel.
Almost like
Is he put that? Did the attorney put that?
Yeah, they added all that last time. It's like,
But it's all that technical stuff for us being a government entity and what needs to be in the contract for.
I'm
So-
not
I'm
sure.
not sure it needs to be in the contract.
Exactly, and I would have to agree
It may
with
be
Jerry on that.
more legalese than.
We may need to discuss
Needed.
whether or not Bill is the best attorney for the district, but that's not on the agenda, so we can't
Right.
Does
discuss
that
it, but I'm
include
really
things like
wondering.
purchasing parts and supplies and stuff?
Well, that's the thing. It says doing business with China,
Yeah, well,
but if China makes products and gives and sells them to firms in the United States, I don't know why we can't purchase things from United States companies.
How are you
even though it
supposed
comes
to-
from
Why,
China.
I think the
Where they
difference
get
is
it
we
from.
can't do business directly
I
with
can't.
them.
I can't.
You can,
I cannot.
he cannot, but we can purchase products made in those countries, but we can't deal with them in
Directly.
or you can't deal with them directly in business matters.
All your other people can.
Right. Again,
And you can as an entity. Just me, I'm the only one.
we will add that to the agenda because I think we need to make sure we're getting the best legal services, and I'm not sure that's the case. So you want to go over that contract, Jerry? Is there anything you want to?
Well, basically the highlights, and before we get to, let's see here. Before we get to 12 pages long,
Yeah, that's crazy.
the basic thing is I'm happy to do day-to-day management of the system. Like I said before, I'm a grade 4 operator. Got over 4 decades of experience in management and all that kind of stuff. But if there's any grants that are written, so for one thing, I would also do grants. I could write grants and then manage those grants. If any grants are written, once those grants are received, then what I can do is get a rate of $85 an hour to oversee and manage those grants. But it wouldn't come out of your pocket. It would have to come out of the grant itself. If there was a way that, let's say that they said, well, no, we can't pay you directly, but we'll pay or reimburse the entity, which is Black Canyon City,
Right.
then I would get reimbursed by you. But again, it's 100% grant money, okay? Some of the things that I could do that would be additional, that's outside the original agreement, is if I did the first year CIP, capital improvement plan, that would be at $85 an hour, and there's a couple other things that if I do those, just because they're so time intensive and they're outside the scope of the day-to-day work, that would be paid at $85 an hour.
What else would be outside the scope of the contract?
Well, sometimes there are requests that are made by the board that, trying to think what I ended up doing it for mayor. So at one point, they wanted me to evaluate their staff by being there 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Yeah. So that's outside the normal scope, so therefore, we kind of made a deal where, well, I'm going to charge extra, but it's going to be for how many other days.
Okay, so-
stuff like that.
What you're saying is that if something is going to go outside of the scope of the contract, we will know in advance, or we have
Yes.
that option in advance to say yes, or no.
Yeah, what'll typically happen is I'll give you the information. I'll let you know this is outside the scope of the contract. Therefore, there will be an extra fee, and I'll do an estimate. So you can review the estimate and say, yeah, we want you to do it, or maybe we want you to do half of it, or whatever we decide to work out.
Is that 6 expenses? Like section 6?
No,
or
the expenses are for travel time and for meals and lodging. Like, for example, if there's a 2-day event that you're going to hold back to back and have to spend the night or something,
right.
it'd be for that.
You won't spend the
So
night.
this,
Okay, what
this
section
doesn't
is
mean
this
your
under?
mileage, day-to-day mileage, right?
It would be my
From
back and
driving
forth,
from-
but it's
from the-
but it's
from
capped.
Chino to, all right.
Yeah,
at
but
five.
there's a cap.
So that would be on top of 2,500 a month.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it'd be 3,000. Or no, 25.
You don't want to stay in the Black Canyon Motel, so we will not have any overnight meetings.
So I'm sorry,
I got
what
that
was-
empty garage.
Which section was it that you're explaining?
Yeah.
Well,
Um,
it'll take me a minute to find it.
And I did have a question on the section 6, or,
Okay, so that would be 3.
okay, that's under 3.
Yep.
Okay, I'm just gonna look on here because it's a little bit easier to see. So compensation / payment.
Yes.
Yeah, that one, can you see all of it, or is
Well,
it
it's
kind
kind of small.
Yeah,
It's tiny.
I'm sorry.
That's all.
I didn't know it was going to print like
of,
that.
some of it got covered by something, but I had the full thing if, you know, want me to read it, or?
But
All the wording is there, just
Oh, okay.
because it was
It
track
is all-
changes.
Yeah, it just looks like somehow, it looks like something missing, but it's all there.
Yeah.
Right on, so.
So this means that Bob would report to you. Of course, I want to know what's going on, but it would eliminate the 3 of us reaching out to Bob for something. We would go through you for any requests that we had of Bob, correct?
Yeah, so basically the way we do it in Mayor and the way I've done it elsewhere is that I'm basically the liaison between the board and the contractors. So if you want stuff from Bob or Bob wants stuff from you, he would go through me. You would then give me whatever latitude you felt was appropriate for me to just go ahead and not have to call all 3 of you and say, can I do this? So I would have some latitude. Also, if you drill a well or do something like that, again, I would be part of that from beginning to end. So then again, whenever there's a situation that comes up where maybe the well's not working properly or it didn't get drilled properly, whatever it is, we can have that discussion and I can say, hey, that's not appropriate, or, yeah, that's a good thing to do, whatever the situation is.
Right.
The other thing is, in Mayor, I also have the office staff and any contractors. So we did that $1 million grant to replace all the water main. So I oversaw that. We had a project manager that we hired that saw the day-to-day on that and contracts, but I oversaw what they did. I attended the meetings by Zoom. And then Carissa and Susan in the office, they report to me as well. And then the field staff, they report to me. So there's currently, Joe is the main person that's over there. And then there's 2 operators in the field. So every day we communicate by text. So what I do is I ask them via email, and we set it up that every Friday they're going to give me their schedule for the upcoming week. So that's all of them. And then we include Kathy in that email. With the field staff, because they don't all have emails, we do it by text. So the field staff will text me and say, okay, here's what I plan on doing, and then we keep in communication with the text. But like, we had a situation where the windshield went out, got hit, broke on the backhoe, and it was, I don't know, like $2,500 or $3,000. Instead of Bob or Wet going to somebody and saying replace it, it has to come to me. So for instance, what happened before was there was a chlorinator that we need to get a higher pressure. So for example, a typical chlorinator will go up against maybe 125 PSI, but we had as much as 200 PSI in that area. And so we had to get 2 chlorinators that could go over 200 PSI. So Bob went to Blue Book and said, I'm going to buy these 2 and then spare parts. And Carissa in the office said, no, get a hold of Jerry. So then he got a hold of me and I said, 3 quotes. So we got 3 prices, then we ended up getting it from somebody else. I don't remember who it was, but it wasn't Blue Book because they were more expensive.
Right. So you did procure.
Oh, that's okay. Go see who it is, or, you
I don't
know.
know how to stop. I've never had this happen ever. when I was
So
doing a
that's
live
gonna take a
stream,
lot
I'm just
of
gonna,
us.
can't take the
Me,
call.
I don't have to
Okay.
intervene and be get involved with everything. I can say, you know, you need to talk to Sheriff, and including the office staff. So that's a huge, that's huge. That's just a huge help to know that there is someone keeping an eye on everything that's going on.
And just some recent things that we've done in coordination between Bob, the office, and myself was we had to get the CCR out, so that was completed and it's done now. We had to get, what was the other one? Oh, the ADWR report that had to be completed and sent, so we did that. I reviewed it and I have concerns about how it was done. And then we just finished our budget. So that was Carissa and myself worked on the budget. Kathy gave parameters, and then because, you know, of her situation, Carissa and I went through it, we put the budget together, and then we submitted it to Kathy for review. She made a couple changes. She came in, talked to Carissa on a couple things. We had to look some things up simply because whoever had done the budget the previous year didn't keep a lot of good records. So we don't know what all. So when you say, you know, system maintenance, is that a well? Is that a booster station? Is that a tank? Is that a water main? Is that meters? You know, what is it? So we broke it down. So it makes more sense now.
And because RCAC and all of these people are going to be doing so much work, I think his service would be invaluable in helping coordinate all of that. And not that we're not going to participate, we are, but it's not like we have to sit right on it because now we have our eyes. And this is so new for the district, and I think this is, I think it should have been done a long time ago to have somebody working with the board to oversee the best interests of the district in all things operations in the office.
Yes.
Because it otherwise it got out of control. And someone did make a comment about putting this position out for quotes, and my comment on that is we cannot wait another 3 months. We've been talking about this before we were even seated on the board. And if we go another 2 or 3 months with all of the RCAC stuff and with everything going on in the district, we need to find meters. It would be to the detriment of the district, and how we have vetted him. He comes highly recommended from the NRWA, from mayor, and there are times in districts such as this size that it's not feasible to put out bids for something like this. It's not. And if the former board, they did it all the time, and they never even got a slap on the hand. And we're very conscientious about how we do things, about making sure that we stay on the up and up. But I think in this matter, the harm it could do is greater than it's not something I want to risk. I think this is just the best solution to making sure we get things back on track, or get things on track. It's a mess. And we don't have to put it out to get quotes. That's our option. It's not mandatory, it's not a statute, this is best practice. And look how many years they never put jobs out to bid. It always went to one. So we have to balance logistics and purpose. And right now it's
Kind of like reality versus textbook perfect.
yeah.
It's the real
legal,
world, you know?
Exactly.
You know,
There's the
the
legal
one
view, which is outside of the realm of reality.
Right.
It just focuses on, okay, this is what I've read, but it doesn't consider the specific circumstances of the party that's being represented by the attorney.
Right. And so in Exhibit A, under, and I don't know if you have Exhibit A with you or if that's included with all of this.
I think it was.
I do have it in front of me here. It's general duties heading, and the last sentence is, this is important to us, I guess, and this could be changed. But it says the district manager position will be a 1099 independent contractor whose services are secured in conjunction with Black Canyon procurement requirements. Now, we don't have procurement requirements, but yet, you know, in here, this is what it says. So do we just...
I think that's just more legalese.
So, I mean, do we change that and just, you know, say...
Well,
in conjunction with Black Canyon procurement requirements as they exist. In other words, they don't exist, so we don't. But if they do exist, then they do. But,
well, if I could just interrupt.
yes.
I stopped at Exhibit A. I have not had a chance to read Exhibit B because that's all from your attorney. He added all that.
Is there a B?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, is that like attached to A or?
Yeah, it's right after A.
Oh, okay. Because I mean, as far as I recall, and it goes a little ways back, I did read everything I got from him. But,
Yeah, and I have not agreed to that because I haven't had a chance to read it.
all I have is Exhibit A.
So we need to vote on this today. We can't, this is just, so let's talk about what we want to modify in the contract and then vote on the contract so we can move forward. You don't agree with Exhibit B?
I've not had a chance to read it.
Can you read it now?
Can we take 5 minutes?
Sure.
We cannot come back. I do not want to keep doing the dance with the contract. We
Right.
meant to vote today.
Yeah,
We need to vote.
let's try to hammer it
And
out.
we need to, exactly.
You know, if they would have written all the other contracts you have as tight as this, you
We
probably wouldn't have
have
any
nobody.
employees.
Right?
We almost lost 2 leases. We lost one because of the lease agreement. And then the second lease agreement, they were about ready to say no more because there are grammatical errors. Well, and
I know what's crazy, there's like 25 pages or something.
and is there anything in B that needs to be saved?
I'm just going through it. It's all stuff I had in the main body of the original agreement, so I don't know why they pulled it out and moved it to a new exhibit.
Because they make 300 and some odd dollars.
Yeah, this is stupid. I have to acknowledge that I don't use your health insurance. I don't think you have health insurance.
Nope.
I have to acknowledge that I have the right to refuse or do what you tell me. You have the right to expect that I'm going to work for other people.
So you want to just mark out what we don't need in that, and then we can,
Make this make sense to me.
yeah, that's crazy.
I mean,
That
we're
doesn't,
gonna pay him, but we're not gonna pay him regular.
we need to strike
This all
that.
does seem to already be in the contract, right? What's in B?
Yeah.
So
Basically, I'm a 1099, it says in the contract I'm a
Right.
1099.
Yeah,
So I pay all the taxes and everything else. I don't know why they
yeah.
did it again, but.
Hmm.
Oh, I see on page 3, they added B, independent contractor declaration, which is pursuant to ARS, whether the contractor shall execute the declaration attached.
Right.
Then it already says under 9 that you are not responsible for FICA, Medicare, Social Security, any other
Right.
federal or state withholding, payments for compensation, me or my employees, making federal or state unemployment compensation. It's already in there, so
Yeah.
I don't know why I have to do a separate declaration.
Right.
Okay, that doesn't make any sense. So can you look at this? Is this contract more up to what we're looking for?
Well, there was the one part that the D&O, that's where I want to make sure I cover.
The updates, right. And if that's not possible, that we would pay up to a certain amount for equal insurance, basically.
Correct, so I could go through my insurance, because
Yeah.
I'm insured, and I'll give you a copy, and you'll be named as on my insurance. But for the D&O, that's for liability for doing what we collectively think is the right thing to do, but somebody may sue us because of it. That's all that is.
Right.
Right, and we have that. So,
So I would say do this one without B.
Right, yeah, we don't need B8.
and we're gonna do this one without B. I'm gonna make a note. And Tom, what, where was that procurement?
Okay, so that was under general in Exhibit A. The heading is general. General, I think it just said general, actually.
So we're just gonna take out the procurement part.
I think
May
so.
I look at it, please?
Absolutely.
I just want to make sure.
Seems like you could do that.
I've never, God,
I mean, to read it in its, well, let's see here. Where did it go? Was it in Exhibit A, I think? Okay, so back to A.
if Bill were here, he would say, no, you can't vote on this until you have a good contract.
Well, we can make a good contract.
Exactly.
We can handwrite it.
And we don't
if
need it,
to.
right,
Yeah,
exactly.
we can handwrite it,
Yeah, and it says again
as long as the parties are all in agreement.
on general duties, it says that I'm a 1099 employee. So.
Right.
And we have justification for not putting this out to bid, if you
Procurement
will.
process, or, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, this one I
that could
don't,
take forever.
I don't see procurement on this one.
Okay, it's, find this again. Where did it go? Oh, here they are, okay.
Is that under?
Exhibit A?
Mhm.
I think it was Exhibit A, I put in my notes, Exhibit A.
But was that
General
which contract?
is the
Because there
heading.
was more than one.
Well, Exhibit A was attached
Oh.
to the contract. And general duties, yeah, it's general duties. So
Can
it's
you-
right near the top of Exhibit A.
Can you turn your
And-
laptop around and show Jerry?
Oh.
Was it?
Well, if this is the most recent, the 6/11.
Right.
That could have been on a former. Because I told the attorney we were not putting this out for quotes.
Oh, maybe
because
he changed it.
And so
Yeah,
he,
I mean,
maybe he
but
took it
yeah,
out.
this- I believe this was the one that he just sent, that I'm looking at right now, but. Exhibit A. if it's not there, clearly,
So the first paragraph, oversight of the day-to-day field operations and field
general
operations.
duties. So it's just the last line of general duties, and it still is there. It says, district manager position will be a 1099 independent contractor whose services are secured in conjunction with Black Canyon procurement requirements.
Where is that?
So maybe you're looking at an old one there. I mean, it's just right, very bottom.
District manager position will be a 1099.
Yeah, that's,
What, may I see yours, please?
yeah. You just right at the very bottom.
It says 611.
Right.
Down here.
Yeah, there it is.
1099
So-
contractor whose services are secured in conjunction with procurement requirements.
Which we don't really have. I mean, it's nowhere in any of our policy and procedures manual. And it's nowhere in writing,
Right.
anywhere that I'm aware
So
of.
maybe we should just put on there if we can find some.
How about,
It just, you know, just, I think Elaine's right, that we just, for now, we don't have any, so.
what do you think if we do this? So just have the district manager position will be a 1099 independent contractor, period. That's it.
Yeah, we're just basically removing the requirement, or, you know, whatever you want to call this, whose services are secured in conjunction. We're just removing that.
Okay,
You feel like,
I'll take that. Actually, you can take it. You can correct it. Send it to me, Jerry. I read your first contract and the one regarding the D&O, and
The one
I
that
thought
was
it was
6
fine.
pages instead of 12.
Yes, yes.
right. And yeah, that was the main question.
It was a waste of money.
Oh, and that was the main question that I had, and beyond, I think there's a blank line that obviously we'll fill in today, hopefully. We'll right now negotiate over.
For the insurance.
Yeah, there was a line that was kind of left for,
Well, we can sign it at the meeting on Tuesday, and Jerry can have the clean copy to me. So I'm going to go ahead and make a motion.
Oh, you want me to?
but I had another
Yes.
question too. And basically this is section 6 of the actual contract.
6.
And,
You already have.
Expenses?
yeah, I just wasn't understanding that real well as it's written. And I'm not exactly real good with lawyer speak. Or what is it, legal ease or whatever, but yeah, so, I mean,
Legal
I'm wondering
ease.
like if you can explain what you find this to mean to you, and then kind of we see if we agree that it means that to us. Is that reasonable?
Sure. Let me read through it a minute.
Uh-huh.
We got tired of reading
Because
them.
that was the actual.
Well, it's the third time they put the same thing in here. So basically what it says is that I'm responsible for all my expenses. And then the very last paragraph, that's what I had in the original. Reimbursable expenses include mileage, meals, lodging when directly related to the services for Black Canyon with a not to exceed $500 a month.
Right. the cap.
Unless approved in advance by the board, in writing by the board.
Okay, and in the beginning of it, let's see, contractor shall be responsible for all employment expenses related to providing services under this agreement unless reimbursement is specifically approved in writing in advance by Black Canyon.
Right.
And,
So for example, if, I've got some people that work for me, and let's say that you wanted to put a water conservation program together. I've got a person that does that kind of stuff, and I think she charges like $50 an hour. So if that's what you wanted it under my agreement, then I would give you a proposal in writing that says, okay, for $50 an hour, this person will deliver a water conservation program with a not to exceed amount of $1,000 or whatever it is.
right,
So that's what that
that's
means.
what we would approve.
Right.
And you would bring to us for
Yeah.
approval.
Right.
And everything else here, as far as the $500 with the cap on it, is basically things that, you know, you have that leeway. You have that, you know, approval from us to, you know, do the things that are necessary up to that amount.
Yes.
Over that amount, we would have, you know, approved it.
So again, it was kind of like when Mayor said, okay, come here for 2 weeks straight, 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. That's not in here. So then I would come to you and say, okay, to do that, here's what I'm going to charge you.
Yeah, because
And
it's
then it's up to
beyond
you.
your,
Well,
it's
yeah,
beyond
because,
your
yeah,
contract and
that
what we
makes
really
sense.
agreed, you know, to hire you for. And okay, so that's good then, right? Makes sense to everybody.
So that's what I always do is I don't just do stuff and then charge it. I give you the opportunity to say, here's what we're looking for, and I put down in writing what I think you're looking for. You correct me if I'm wrong. And then I say, okay, here's the cost. And it's going to be a not to exceed number. So that means if it's going to go past that number, I have to come back to you and say, okay, we hit a bump or two, we may have to spend an extra $100. But I can't do anything until you approve it.
Right. And so we all agree that it means the same to all of us.
Okay, so
Because
I'm,
that's what happens, right, with contract, is sometimes it means something different to you than it might mean to us. So, you know, in here we just kind of, and there's another thing that I saw, but it really just is a technical thing. And I can't remember, it was just something about services, provided, or I can't remember which section. I thought I had it written down, but I apparently didn't. And it's just, it's a technical thing that would be just basically meaning the contractor provided services instead of services of contractor or something. But it was a simple little, kind of looked like a typo kind of thing.
Well, there's one thing I had to put in there because there was another community where, again, I have my subcontractors, but they report only to me. So therefore, if the board or anybody else gives them direction outside of what I give them, then now they become the responsibility of the person giving them direction.
Right.
So therefore, I'm not going to pay for them to do extra work.
Yeah, you shouldn't be responsible for decision made by somebody else that, you know.
yeah, we have to be respectful of his right to have oversight of the contractors that he hires.
Right.
And that,
And not
and we
step
need to
on his
stay out,
toes,
exactly.
so to speak, right?
Exactly.
And, right.
Yeah, what happened was, and it was in there. I had a subcontractor, which we had done all the stuff that we talked about. I said, okay, for him to come in and do this work, it's going to be X, Y, Z. And we said, okay, here's the not to exceed, blah, blah, blah. And then he came into work, and all of a sudden, one of the people on the board was telling him to do this and do that. And, well, the work I gave him never got done. So I said, you can't do that.
Well, no, they stepped on your toes, right? I mean, they're kind of, yeah. And
Okay, so we need to move on. I'm going to make a vote that we accept HAT Solutions Jerry Lima's contract with the changes noted on the contract to remove Addendum B,
Exhibit B.
Exhibit B on the contract dated
June 11, 2025.
June 11th, 2025. that we all agree to the $30,000 per year fees, the $500 per month travel and expense fee as if needed, and that he will carry his own D&O insurance unless the Water District's D&O insurance accepts him on our policy. But he will have that coverage, whether paid by him and
If we're
reimbursed by
unable-
us.
If we're
or-
unable to provide it,
Correct.
then we
Or-
will pay for an equal amount of insurance for you to get the coverage yourself, but we pay for it.
Right. So I'm going to
And so
restate the
it's like a-
vote that we are going to approve the contract with the changes as noted in the video, and for the meeting minutes, the contract dated 6/11/25. We're going to remove addendum B and accept the financial obligations as noted in the contract, and that we will reimburse Jerry for D&O insurance if he cannot be placed on the district's D&O policy. Can I get a second?
Are we, this is the complete contract, are we gonna remove this? And is that already mentioned?
It's already mentioned, and
Okay,
we
then.
have the video and we have meeting minutes
Yes,
to
right.
make sure that the changes made have been documented and will be reflected in the contract that will be modified, meeting the
And wasn't
changes that we've stated.
Wasn't there a blank somewhere that needed to be?
We don't sign that until this contract is sent to us again.
I think that was D&O insurance.
Was that what the blank line was for, like a certain amount that we would not pay beyond that amount, or it kind of capped the amount? And we still have to iron that out, or,
Well, it just depends on if I'm on your insurance, my insurance, and
which we won't be able to know, right? That's
Hopefully
why
you'll get a
we just have
response
to-
back. So once again, I'm
Okay.
just going to clarify the vote, and let's not, I make a motion that we are going to approve the contract dated 6/11/25 with a few modifications, including removing addendum B, that the district will, if possible, put Jerry on our D&O insurance, and if not, he will pay his D&O insurance and the district will reimburse him with a proper receipt, that the financial and the compensatory expectations as noted in the contract are acceptable to the board. And so would anyone like to make a second?
Well, I'll second it, but I don't remember what all you said about the fees and the.
We'll all
Whatever
be in the
you
meeting,
want,
so
I'll
just say
second.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Passes unanimously.
With
Unopposed.
With none opposed, is there any discussion?
Oh, no.
We already had the
We've
discussion.
already had the discussion.
Right, but you
All right.
still do that.
I know.
So, that's
So-
all, no discussion, we did discuss it.
Motion approved, and Jerry is now the new BCCWID District Manager. Congratulations,
Thank
Jerry. Praise God, this has been a journey in getting here. We started this
Thank
in
you
like
for joining us
November,
and
October
being
of
here to help
last
us.
year. So this was not an overnight decision.
don't worry, I'll send you my past billing.
And we do hear that, you know, that this is a very reasonable deal that we're making with you, that, you know.
So
this-
then you will start at the beginning of next month, or you're gonna start tomorrow?
When can you start, right? That's
Today.
right, when can you start?
I've been working for 6 months.
Well, no. We had a long term of hit and miss between my school and, so it's like been in the last 90 days, I think, that we've really,
That you've been coming to this point?
yes, it's been, but he's been incredibly helpful in that time in helping direct things, yeah. So, thank you very much.
Right.
So next will be,
Did you do your reports yet? Because weren't they at the top of the agenda, where you had like 2 reports, I think,
It said nothing to report.
small
No
reports.
reports.
Brief report.
Update on RCAC. They're going to be at the meeting on the next regular meeting.
Right.
Allison will be
Attendance by
here from
telephone.
Tucson, and the others will be
By telephone.
attending virtually. And so that's going to be so exciting to hear what they have to say. They're going to be sharing the roadmap, what's been developed so far, where we're going, how we're going to get there. And so this is really a huge, and Tom and I have been working on that for going on 3 years. So all these things that we started before we were on the board are finally coming
It
to.
goes back a little ways that we began to contact for technical assistance through the EPA. That kind of really began there. But the board wasn't really interested.
We cannot have a discussion
Oh,
because
yeah.
this is not.
Yeah.
So, update on the
Thank you.
CCR, Tom is going to spearhead that, but now you have Jerry to help you. The good news is we don't have to print and figure out, because the quote I got on that was $2,000 to send out CCR notices
You
to.
did get my email, right?
I did.
And that
We can't discuss
Yeah.
it, but yes, Tom is spearheading it. Welcome, working on that with Jerry. So we have, we did 6B, we completed that, the contract with Jerry. Now we're going to A, discussion and possible action regarding the commercial office lease at the plaza. So we have the contract, I have the final contract. Did it print out? So I have been in touch with our insurance carrier. I did request all of the insurance, the certificates of insurance that she has requested for, or that the building owner requested for fire, damage, everything. She had a list of, well, there were several questions. Did I send that to you, Jerry? And I responded and provided her with all of the answers, so we should be getting those certificates so that we can provide our LM enterprises or with those certificates as required. The rent is $750 and the water was going to be $30, but they had put $800 in the contract, so they just raised the water to $50, which I'm not going to argue about $20. I doubt that we're going to use $50 of water per month because they don't even have a sink. You just have a toilet, and I don't think flushing a toilet
There's no sink?
We'll talk about that. So the contract is, as we discussed before, and everything looks totally appropriate in the contract, and all of the required insurance information is being taken care of right now. We will need to do some work in those office suites at our expense. We can add a sink, and we absolutely need a new toilet. I met with Mark, who does all of the work. He's a licensed bonded contractor, does great work, and he gave me a quote which I wasn't sure if the board would accept it. I think it was about, but we need window coverings, a new toilet, a sink, and a wall put in, and I would like to see a frosted door versus a hard door so that the room doesn't feel like a coffin or a cave. Mark is out of town. He'll be back Wednesday. We can meet with him then. It doesn't need paint. The building owners were going to paint this small area where we can put filing cabinets and such, and extend the floor into that area as well. So because this is a part of the lease, perhaps we should discuss how much we're willing to spend on putting up a wall, a sink, and replacing the toilet. I can buy the toilet at Home Depot.
Less than
Which would-
$200.
Pardon?
Less than $200.
Right, but I'm afraid if a contractor did it, then it's gonna be, we can pay him to install it, but I can pick it up and drop it off. So do you think that $8,000 would be a reasonable amount to put up a wall? And no?
That's a lot.
We have to put in a wall. So $5,000,
I think it's still a lot.
you can do what?
I think it's still a lot
It is too much.
for really simple,
Well, I'll get with Mark, and I don't think $5,000 is gonna be too much to put up a wall. I was looking at used doors. If your husband could do that, used doors are obviously a lot less than a brand new one. So I'm doing everything I can and looking at reducing those costs, but there are the essentials that we really do need. We need window coverings, a sink, and a new toilet, and that wall. Because the point of being able to move into this office space was so that I don't have to meet somebody at Kim Jalene's or two brothers or
so it
whatever to
suits
have
our
a
needs
meeting.
well.
Pardon?
So that it suits our needs well.
Exactly.
That's-
So perhaps I'll get with Mark, and at the regular board meeting, I'll have a quote on doing just the basic things.
Is Kent able to donate his services, or, is
Yeah,
that?
I don't see,
Would-
yeah,
You know,
that's
if
fine.
Kent can donate, I mean, obviously, we pay for the materials.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna pay for,
Well-
whatever materials are gonna be needed.
I'll get with Mark. I rejected his first offer or his first estimate because I know you guys wanted to know I wasn't going to bring it in here.
Well, and labor can be a lot, but it
So
Kent is,
I am looking at every way to save. But anyhow, so we'll get back to just the lease. And the importance of this is because the person whose name the lease is in has the right to refuse entry if they so choose. And right now, at the current water office, the lease is in Lisa Chandler's name, and she can refuse entry to the board members if she so chooses, and there's not much we can do about it. So it's just important that we move and get settled, and that for the first time in 25 years, the office lease is in the district's name as it should be. So I would entertain a motion to move forward with the office lease at $800 per month and the indicated deposits.
I so move.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I hate spending money.
Motion passes unanimously.
You didn't get a second.
Oh, can I get a second for that? Sorry, thank you.
I'll second the motion.
Okay.
To pay the deposits for the lease, but not for the,
Correct. No, that has to be a separate discussion. So Tom made a motion to approve the lease. It was seconded by Melina. All voted aye. So a unanimous vote, and motion carries.
Yes.
So I will let Carl M. know, thank you, that we will be moving. We're not sure of the date, but hopefully it will be no later than the 1st of July. Okay, so now let's get to the office.
10 days away.
Well, we've been working on this for how
It's a
long?
long time, yeah. All right, so what's next?
Huh? You just look good today. Thank you. You look more like the picture before. I know. So
It's not on the agenda. But thanks.
So now let's talk about the office management situation, that contract, the separation agreement. So in our last discussion, Lisa indicated that she wanted to be paid $21,000 severance package. And I've gone back through all of the notes, meeting minutes, etc., and I did find where it was stated in a meeting, and it is on record, that $2,000 per month of whatever amount the office person was paid was to cover expenses, rent, utilities, postage for bills, etc. Lisa did not want to accept an hourly rate because we are going to have a district clerk and not a district manager. Jerry can oversee the office situation, and we can be supportive of that as well. But this is a way to save money. at $6,885 a month for that contract. We can have an hourly person and pay for Jerry's services and much of our CPA's services. And we have a CPA. Most of the work has been turned over to the CPA, and as everyone knows, Lisa is smart, she's likable, she has a lot of great qualities, but she is not computer literate, and she has had a really difficult time doing the work that has been expected and as outlined in her contract. It has not been getting done. So we need to think about, do we want to offer her a severance package? Because at this point, if she doesn't, we can terminate her employment for cause. So we could offer her a $2,500 settlement or $5,000 settlement. Perhaps a settlement of some sort would be appropriate, but $21,000 is out of the question. So let's talk about an amount of a severance package that you or we might feel would be appropriate, plus whatever her wages are that is owed to her from her last paid period until her end date. Her contract officially ends July 26th. So thoughts, discussion.
My thoughts on it was let her finish out to the 26th and offer her, maybe meet her halfway on what she's asking for the
what is halfway?
month.
That would be half of
It's
21.
1 month's pay, basically. That's what ends up being like the severance of this. It ends up being 1 month pay, which about 7,000, 6,000, whatever you just said the number, 6,800 something. And basically offer her maybe just a little, like 3,500. Say, there's 3,500 for your, concerns about, your liabilities or whatever you have going into the first month of the new contract, which is,
We absolutely will not entertain anything on the 4-year contract. She verbally agreed to give that up, and the documentation that I have indicates this was not a bid position. She was placed in this position in a manner that was totally inappropriate and misleading by the former board. And just the conflict of interest with her being part owner of Chandler Construction and and the board's close ties with Chandler Construction are inappropriate. And when Sarah called Lisa in Hawaii and said, "I think you should apply for my job, I'm leaving," that ended the potential or opportunity for anybody else to get that position. That was a done deal the day that phone call was made to Lisa.
yeah, I mean, I'm full aware of it because I know that you put in a complaint on that bid and how the bid, how it went, how they went about the whole thing. I have emails that show that I was deceived by the board chair, and those emails didn't even need to get put into evidence. But if, basically, yeah, it was, it was illegitimate in my view. And, so I don't agree with, going with the 4-year extension. Before she even served, they gave her 4 years. They said, we're going to extend your contract 4 years before she served a day.
And it was very clear
I mean, it's
in the meeting minutes that it was
sketchy.
a 1-year contract,
Right.
and it was to see, for people to get to know each other. There was no mention of it being a 4-year contract
Yeah.
until much
And yet-
later.
Yeah, and then,
Yeah.
and yet, she claims that. I thought it was a 5-year contract. Who puts in a
No.
bid doesn't know how many years the contract's for.
It was very clear.
So it was, and so, yeah, I mean, that's upsetting. But on the other hand, I just don't want us to get into any kind of a legal battle of any kind. So to me, and
this is
what she's,
the attorney. This is a right to work state.
Mhm.
there will not be a legal battle. She either can take the separation agreement, or we have just cause to terminate her employment. We are eliminating that position. This is not my first.
So we could just cut her off right now?
Yes.
And she could be done with nothing? So it would be in her best interest to finish her contract till July 26th and maybe have $3,500.
What would you agree on as far as a severance package? 3,500, 5,000, 6,000
I
a
would say
month?
no more than 5.
Yeah, like just 3,500
I
is
think
a
35 is a
negotiating
nice-
point, a
nice
place to
figure.
meet in the middle.
That's $3,500.
And then, you know, she's gonna wanna bump it up a little bit and-
Get another gig going.
And-
Jerry?
but, You know.
What are your thoughts? You are,
I don't know anything about the contract or the employment or anything, so I can't speak. I'm not comfortable
Right.
speaking about it.
Yeah.
I never got any
Okay.
severance pay when I walked off a job or when I got fired for a job. So I think $3,500.
That's just being very generous.
Yeah, I
That's
think it
just,
is.
you know,
I
and
really
it's
think
also
it is.
us looking out, you know, for the owner users, that we're not being, you know, oh, well, you want 8,000? We'll give you 8,000.
Yeah, no.
We're negotiating, you know, but we're also in our
Nobody's
very
getting
best, in our very best ability to avoid any kind of a, you know, chance
well, what she
of a
could do,
legal
what she could do,
situation.
because her
We don't
name is
wanna
on the
go there.
lease, is say, you can't come into the office. And she's done that before. Or you have to make an appointment. She can't totally prohibit us coming in, but it could be that we have to make an
Well,
appointment.
she can't be in there while she's keeping us out. She can't be in there destroying or.
She could do whatever she
Documents
wants.
or,
She
you
could,
know,
yeah.
documents and things like that. And you have to wonder why they gave her 4 years before she even served a year. And there's the
We have-
statute of limitations on things, and somebody, that, you know, that's in
Access to the
family
office is dependent
overseeing
upon
those.
her permission,
But-
although everything in that office is ours. Without everything in the office, she would not have a job. But she has in the past, and she could do it again, state that we cannot come in the office without an appointment, and she has to prove it beforehand. But the truth is, she's not really even working. She has Julie there most of the mornings, and she only comes in the afternoon. She is, which by contractually, she has the right to hire people to work in the office under her supervision, and she's responsible for paying them. And you know that she's paying Julie cash. You know, I don't know that that's appropriate. Is Julie on her policy, on her insurance policy? Because I don't know how that
But we
would
don't
work.
know. Yeah. And so, as you had stated, that she has until the 26th. That's the end of her contract, right? And the amount of money that she was asking for, that's changing each day as time goes by, because it's less time. But I mean, we had agreed, basically, I think we had the meeting that was actually here, and she had agreed that she will just, you know, leave after she serves out her term.
But
And
then she changed her
seemed-
mind, and
actually
she wanted a
seemed really good with that.
$21,000
She would seem
severance
like-
package.
Right, and so, but, you know, it was basically, so, I mean, what she's asking for is, it's not really defined, but the best I can figure what it means is, she's saying, I want to get paid out for the end of this term, this contract, which I'm going to serve to the end of the contract, as far as that was the last plan that we had when we had the meeting. Like you said, it's on video. But, you know, then what she's adding to the amount, because she comes up with like 21,000, and we're looking at approximately 7,000 per month, is her finishing the 2 months is 14,000. So now you're left with the 7,000. That's what she's sort of asking for on the extension contract. I agree. It's like, you know what, we really shouldn't even have to do that, because, you know, of the way that things happened and how this all came about. It is under investigation. It may come out that this was, you know, a bad bid, and to my understanding, it's not so much the person that gets the contract that is really in trouble on that end of things, but the person who rigged it, kind of, the people who rigged the bid, but, I mean, but, you know, that's.
Well, the Attorney General complaints have gone to the Yavapai County Attorney's Office. I don't know what will happen.
Right.
But the bottom line is, we have to put our foot down. We cannot be held hostage. You know,
Right.
if she wants to say, no, you can't come in the office, well, we have to address that. We
Well, she
can't
hasn't
just.
done it for all this time, right? For all this time,
No, she has done it.
She got a little difficult, but it wasn't like constant, was it? Or, I mean, can we just get through this another month and a half?
That's up
Is
to
it-
her. But the bottom line is, we have to be able to move forward. We need to be able to run an ad to get an office
Yes,
clerk.
right.
Julie said that she would be willing to work until we find someone that we can train, but we're moving. Her position is gone. She has not been able to fulfill the responsibilities as outlined in her position in the contract, and it's the whole list. Natalie is now doing everything, and yet we're still paying her as if
Right.
she was doing all that work.
Right, and would it, I mean, I know this would really irk you, okay, like, behoove you, I don't know, to have her actually just say, well, you had your liabilities that you were concerned about, so you could work the one more month into the new year to earn the pay, but it's either that or we kind of probably make an offer and just say, we'll offer you half of the 1 month pay. You know, I mean.
You want to go,
Just a thought, if you're gonna offer a severance package, it would be an agreement that says you do X, Y, Z, and we, as a board, will pay X, Y, Z. If you put in there that the board or any of its designees get access to the board's equipment, Monday through Friday or whatever you want to make it, then if she signs off on it, she has to do it. So make that
Okay.
part of her departure, is that
Right.
between now and then, you need access to your equipment.
Right, especially with the transition coming, it's very critical to our, you know, making things, you know, work out, and, you know.
somehow I get stuck on the number of 5,000. I'm giving her a $5,000 severance package.
3,500.
Okay.
3,500.
See, now it was the opposite. Last time you guys were high, I was low. Now you're.
Right.
Well, you know,
I
we
mean-
pulled off and thought about it a little bit, and yeah, you're right. So,
It was
But I
funny
mean,
when Natalie,
If,
when she was at the last meeting when Natalie came, and Natalie came for that hour, I think you went in and watched, and she asked that whoever the new office clerk is for Natalie, that Natalie would come and train, because when she was there with for that hour with Lisa, she doesn't think that Lisa would be able to do it because she was just totally
no,
overwhelmed.
Lisa's not a teacher. Lisa's not a teacher.
Okay. So I'm gonna call Lisa and have her come on down, and then we'll take care of the last agenda item, take a short break. I hope she, cooperates. She went to well, I hope she cooperates.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
Can we sit down and strategize about what the options are before you call her down here to have a discussion?
Okay. This
we
again
can
has.
actually, no.
Oh, let's stop. Let's just,
Well,
let's take a break.
Personnel can go into closed session.
Okay, so you're right, and I have that on the,
But the only thing is, we have an A4, I think, but we're not covering.
no, I have it. I put it on, where's the agenda?
So basically.
Okay, so according to, ARS 3831.03A3, the
A3.
following topics, which is employment and an employment contract and variables thereto.
Personnel.
Pardon?
In personnel.
In personnel, for discussion, approval, or other action, requires or allows for an executive session, and at this time it is 12:10, and we are going to go into an executive session to discuss Lisa Chandler's separation agreement. Okay.
All right. Audio. Okay, everything's rolling.
Are we good?
Yep.
Okay, we return to the regular session. It is 12:45. The last item on the agenda was item D, 6D, discussion on possible action regarding letter of intent submitted by Sean Collins as a board candidate. We have not had an opportunity to interview Sean. He will not be available until, what?
When you came out of executive session, you have to go back to the previous item that you were discussing.
Okay, we were previously discussing the current office management contract, and we have now returned from the executive session and are going into a regular session.
Special session.
Yeah, into special session meeting.
Special meetings.
So basically, you have to say what you're going to do now.
Are we taking action, right?
Right, because you don't want to
discussion.
go.
Okay, so what kind of action are we taking?
You're going to have a meeting and provide information to the clerk or whoever the person is
Office
on
management.
office management, on how the board wants to proceed.
Okay, so we have discussed how the board wants to proceed regarding the current office management contract. We will be presenting the current office manager with a list,
With a list and recommendation.
with a list of recommendations,
And
as
requirements.
discussed in the executive meeting. Can I get a vote to approve the action that was decided upon in the executive session?
I so move.
A second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes unanimously. And we move on now to 6D, discussion regarding Sean Collins. We have not had a chance to interview him, as noted in the guidelines that we mailed out. He will be available on Monday, the day before the next regular board meeting, and will make himself available for either one-on-one interviews or two board members. And then we will discuss and vote on that at the next regular meeting. So in the interim, this item 4 will be tabled. There are no public participants here, so we will not have any public we will not have a call to the public, adjourn. So we don't have to vote to adjourn, right? You do? I thought the attorney said we didn't.
Well,
It could be.
he told you that as the chair, you can adjourn the meeting.
Oh, yeah.
And-
Okay.
But also, I would just add that, that the meeting was posted and, the proper locations.
I did.
And,
I did that at the
You
beginning,
made mention in
yes.
the beginning. Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, it is 12:50, and
Yes.
this special meeting of the BCCWID is now adjourned. Got it? Is that good?
Okay, so
Okay.
stop the recordings here.